Servus, grüß euch. My name is Adrian and today we're gonna show you how to make your own medieval combat shield according to the IMCF rule set. Okay, so let's talk about the shield itself, what we're gonna need of material and maybe some tools we're gonna need in the near future. So let me start out by saying this is not rocket science. We're just gonna give you tips and tricks on what we think is the best way to do it. Of course, you can always individualize, can make it different, whatever. It's like up to you. It's supposed to be fun. And I also wanted to say it's gonna take us about 1-2 weeks to complete one shield, because as you're gonna see further on in the video, it's gonna take some bending and we're gonna use some glue, which of course needs to dry out and all that. So don't stress about it. It's gonna be a longer process. So what we're gonna need, of course, is the wood itself. I'm gonna show you in a second. You're gonna need some, on the edges, you will need some cow hide, some cow leather, just for it to soften the blows so the edges don't get destroyed immediately, to make a long-lasting shield. You're also gonna need a lot of cloth, a lot of textile to put on top of the shield, once again to soften the blows, to make it longer lasting. And so you have an easier time painting on it, because that's the next thing. You're gonna need a lot of paint, as you can see. So yeah, and pretty much you can do whatever you want. The sigil is up to you. Just don't do anything ridiculous. Just stay tasteful, stay medieval, or you can do something individual like I did. Like this is my personalized sigil, so it doesn't really matter. And on the back side, you're gonna see the old belt I cut up to use as a handle. So far for the padding, you don't really need it. I actually would recommend not to do it, because it's just a further step you have to do. It doesn't really make a difference, because your shield arm is gonna be behind the shield, of course, and has some padding on its own. So it doesn't really make a difference anyhow. So, and of course, you're gonna need some nails, little ones, and some screws. I mean, they're of course not medieval, both of them, but they're approved. You can use them just, logical reason is to have a sturdy shield. It doesn't fall apart that easily. So yeah, and you're gonna get a lot of little stickers. They use them on their tournaments to make sure that the shield has been approved. So you know the shield I'm making is approved by the official standards. So let's get going. So the first step is, so essentially we have here 2 pieces of wood. We are using birch wood, but also here you can use any wood you want. But I just know from experience, birch wood is very durable and it does the job, and it's just a good all-rounder. We have here 2 pieces of wood. Each one has 4 millimeters of thickness, which is not enough. That's why we have 2, and we're gonna put them together. And for the measurements, so the official rule set says you have to have the shield, it has a maximum dimensions of 75 on the long side and 60 on the short side. But you have to keep in mind, as you have seen before, we're gonna put a lot of padding, a lot of textile and cow leather on the edges. That's why you have to make it a bit shorter. So essentially, we're gonna make it 73 on the long side, 73. And on the short side, it's gonna be 58 on the short side. Or something like that, yeah. And once you have your wood, birch wood, you can start applying the wood glue. And after you have applied it in a generous amount, don't be shy to apply a lot of it. You can stick them 2 together and then keep going with some wood clamps and put them together, and you will see the finished product in a second. So now that we have all the screwing clamps on the project, you can see there's a slight gap. Don't worry about this because we're gonna add some weight in the middle now. And this weight is gonna, of course, put it back together, make sure it's all nice and tight. Then we're gonna leave it for 3 to 4 days to get a slight bend into the wood. This way it's gonna be very comfortable, more comfortable on your hand, on your arm. Just make sure not to put too much weight on it, because otherwise it's gonna be uncomfortable. Okay, now for the final last step for the day. So as I said, it's always gonna be a process. Do something, wait 2-3 days, and then on to the next step. So now it's about getting the bend. As you can see, we're just using regular stones, paving stones, and that should do the job just nicely. Here we already have what it's supposed to look like, and I'm going to show you now how I'm going to do it. So essentially, I have the stones here, I'm going to use them. Okay, now that we are nice and sturdy on the rocks, we're just gonna start stacking them. So here we used 8, 9, about 10, 9.5. Just put them in the middle, all along.
The long way.
The long way. Just look for the bend. Don't make it too much, don't make it too little. It's more like a feeling, I guess. But there should be a visible bend at some point. At the top. I think that's already enough. What just happened? Okay. Should do nicely. Maybe I pick some off again. Like I said, it's like more trying. There's no real science behind it, just like whatever you feel is right. Well, this one is problematic. I think that's good. Let me just show exactly the bend itself. Like I said, it should be a slight bend, not too much, because too much is gonna be uncomfortable. And you're just gonna leave it for 2-3 days and hope for the best. And for us, it's gonna be 3 to 4 days, and for you, it's gonna be 1 second.
So it's cutaway.
Servus! I'm still Adrian, this is Juno, and it's about 5 days later now, and the shields are finished. So let's have a look. So the product in and of itself is okay, I'm happy with how they turned out, but we still made a few mistakes. So first of all, we had the problem of having little gaps between the wood. You can simply solve that by putting more glue in between and getting more screw clamps to begin with. That's in general a problem we had. We didn't use enough screw clamps, so just as many as you have, put them on, and it will turn out better than ours. Another problem we had, I just want to mention it. We have a curve as we wanted it to have, perfect. But we also have the problem that it all goes like down to a point in the middle, which is not perfect. You can help yourself by by putting something along the whole ridge of it, right? So we had the problem of only elevating it on the corners, which is fine, but it would be better if you put something along the whole side of it, because this way it gets supported better and you don't have the problem of it going into the middle with just one smooth tunnel along the whole way. But yeah, let's look at the next steps we're gonna take. So I also wanted to mention, because I just forgot it, we're also making some bucklers for ourselves. It's the same principle as you can see, just two pieces of wood glued together and screwed down. Leave it out for a few days. Regarding the measurements for the buckler, so in the rule set it says it has to have a diameter of 40 centimeters, but the same principle applies with the big shields. Just make it a little bit smaller, so we're gonna cut it out for 38 centimeters. But the cutting out part comes later. First I wanted to show you how you're gonna make this curve. How to make this curve the proper way. So let's start with the big ones. As you can see, big nice shield, but the problem is it's square. But we wanted to have a little curve. In this regard, I brought a little something. As you can see, it's just a regular garden hose. You're gonna put it on the ground, and depending on how steep you wanna make it, you just bend it however you like. Put it onto the shield, grab a pen, and you're gonna have a nice line on it, and by this line you're gonna cut it out. Because I didn't make it the first time, and I was smart the last time I made it, I already got some cutouts, I guess, which I can kind of just put onto it and make my line this way. Check, and then cut it out, as I said. But as I just showed you, you can use any kind of material to use as a guidance. But yeah, let's get started with the cutting. Okay, so as you can see, I put the line onto it. I'm gonna use a little bit of wood below it. And for sawing, I use this one. To be honest, I have no idea what to call this one in English, and I can't be bothered to look it up. But I think you can recognize it. I'm just gonna cut it along the line, and you're good to go. So. Okay, now that we have cut out the shield, the next step would be to finally add the padding I have promised. So for that, along the edges, you're gonna put about 1 centimeter wide hemp rope, just with little nails on the edge, right in between the two wooden pieces. Nothing too fancy. All along the edge, you're gonna need about 3 meters of hemp rope, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So now that we added the padding on the side of the shield, it's about adding more padding on the top and more layers on the side. For the first layer, we're gonna use a regular bed sheet. Can you show it to us, Marcus? Yeah. Thank you. Just gonna glue it on with a thick layer of wood glue, put it on, and then cut it out with scissors. Easy enough, you're gonna see the process. Let's go. Yeah. So after you have put on a layer of glue and also tightly stretch the bed sheet over it, you're gonna cut it out. Make sure to have some excess of about 5 to 10 centimeters, because you also have to glue it on to the other side. And make sure that it's very nice and tight on the shield, so that there are no folds. And after you have glued everything on top of it, just put it out to dry for another 3 days, so it can really get nice and hard. And yeah, we will go from there. And here we have the other side. The same principle applies. Just put a 5 to 10 centimeters wide wood glue layer on it, and take the fabric on the other side, so all the padding is nice and hidden and it has a closed off surface. Here we have already a finished product. This is what it's gonna look like after it dried out. A bit dirty, but like I said, you're gonna paint over it, doesn't matter. And also, as you can see, it's a bit rough around the edges. You can just use a knife and cut it down along a nice line. And this way it's also gonna look good and nice on the other side. This is the buckler. Adrian. Regarding the padding on the edges, this will be one of your most essential items. Here we have a chewing bone made out of cow leather. You can buy these on Amazon, on any kind of internet site, but I'm gonna put the specific ones we bought in the description, simple because there are so many different variants, and some of them have like weird chewing things in the middle, and you don't need that. This is just 100% cow leather. It's perfect for what we're gonna do. So, very, very important. Very, very important. 3 days before you're gonna use them, you have to put them inside a bucket full of water. This way they're gonna get nice and soft, and you can just untangle them with your hands. And as you can see, it's a nice flat surface. And this we're gonna nail onto the edges of the shield. And this why we have a very strong edge that doesn't break very easily. So yeah, just keep in mind, do it 3 days ahead of time. Otherwise you're gonna not get them apart. Okay, so I already applied the first and only layer of cow leather. So for that it's quite straightforward. Just put it on the edge, nail it in on one side, on the edge on top, then nail it in on both sides. Just keep in mind, it's wet right now and it will dry up later and kind of compress again. So really stretch it out so it's going to be a nice and tight layer on the edges. Just gonna show you the other side. So like I said, you can just pull it about. Lots of leather. Gonna put it on top. Fix it with a nail, and I just wanted to give you the tip. You can really stretch it out as much as possible, like I said, so it's nice and tight on the shield and doesn't like flop around. But yeah, let's keep going. Okay, another few days have passed. The leather has dried up nicely. To be honest, I could have done a much better job, but as you can see, we're gonna put another layer on top of it, so it won't show anyways, so why bother to make it all pretty if nobody's gonna see it. I also wanted to point out that I put a layer of textile between the leather, just so to make it even. And if we put another textile on top of it, so it won't show the difference between the wood, just to make it even and pretty, I guess. I also wanted to say, don't shy away to put the nails further in. So after it dried up, it's obviously gonna lose some of its thickness and the nail's gonna stick out. Just hammer it down again and make it all flush. Yeah, straightforward. Servus. Okay, as you can see, we already made some great progress. Before I show you the next step, I just wanted to quickly recap what exactly, how many layers we exactly put onto the shield now. So of course in the beginning we glued the two woods together. After that, on the edges we put in the hemp rope. Then we proceeded to put one layer of textile over the whole thing. After that we put the leather once again on the edges. You can see here, there's still some of the leather. After that, we put a layer of textile just in between the leather to make it more even. And then we proceeded to put two more layers of textile over the whole shield, which brings us to a total of 3 layers of textile. 4 if you include the one in the middle, 1 hemp rope, and the leather at the end. Yeah, seems pretty sturdy. It will definitely save your life in a pinch. Okay, next step. Okay, so for the next step, we're gonna add the holes for the belt so we can hold the shield itself. This is a true make it or break it moment, so truly take your time, make sure it's perfectly positioned, because this is gonna determine the whole feel of the shield. So for a belt, I have an old one, I found it home. I would recommend to get as wide as possible, like a belt as wide as possible, because it's just going to be more comfortable to hold, it's going to be more sturdy, it's just going to be better all around. Yeah, just get a belt. If you don't have one, buy one, and yeah, you should be good to go. We will also need, of course, a power drill, and with a correct sized drilling bit. And of course, we're going to use some screws. These are pretty much the only ones you're gonna want. So they have a diameter of 6 millimeters and a length of 30 millimeters. That's how they look like. Of course, those are just the screws. You're gonna also need some washers, and you're gonna need the thing to screw into them. You know how screws works. You just need the correct sized ones. So now you're asking, how do I actually go about making the holes? It's actually quite simple, quite straightforward. You just take the shield, hold it above your head, and let it get in a comfortable position where you think, okay, this is gonna work just fine. Then when you have that position, hold it, turn it around, and put it on the ground. That's how I do it. And as you can see, I already took the liberty of marking the spots where I'm gonna drill. One important thing to keep in mind, you're gonna be wearing gambesson and a glove and maybe some armor, depending on how your armor works. So be sure to really make it wide. This way, yeah, it's gonna be better for you. So yeah, then let's get the drilling.
Hurensohn.
Okay, we got all 4 holes in the shield. Easy enough. One personal recommendation I have for you: before you put on the belt on the back side, definitely paint it. Because if you put on the belt first, you're gonna have a hard time painting behind it, and it's gonna look weird and you're not gonna get everywhere. So make the holes, then start painting, and then put on the belt. Like I said in the beginning of the video, you can do pretty much whatever you want, any color, just be, I don't know, decent and stick to something medieval. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So, here we have our finished products, our finished shields. They are beautiful, they are amazing, I know. So, I think we didn't mention beforehand, we used acrylic paint for all the paintings on it, all the motifs. And now that we have the motifs finished, it's about attaching the belt to the back side. So here I still have one without the belt. Just wanted to show you the screw. You hit it from the top part, just with a hammer, pop, 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 until it's all the way through. Then, as you can see on this one, when the belts are already attached, you just take the old belt you had earlier, and you're gonna cut it into 3 pieces. You're gonna cut off the ends. These are these two, the buckle and the belt itself. And the middle part, they're just the fully part you use for the handle itself. As you can see, you just use some screws, some thingy things, and really tighten them down so they are nice and tight. Tip from us, just make them long enough in the beginning, and later on you can, like, if it's too wide, you can just make it shorter, but not the other way around, right? So make many holes, make it long enough, and then just, finick about until you have the correct size for you. One important thing I want to mention now is that you have to cut it. Like, the referees are very finicky about it. You have to cut the screws as short as possible, and after you cut them, you just have to paint them over with black color. I just don't like to see them because it's essentially the only modern part on the whole shield. For the screws on the front side, you don't have to paint them. It's whatever, but I would paint them if you have the chance, if you think about it, not as we did here. So they don't have anything to complain about. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Before attaching, you just get it clean. I also recommend to use a shield glove for, like, trying it out, or like a thick jacket. So I have a jacket on, so I have about the size of the gambeson. And for the glove, just use a shield glove. Also use it before you tighten it down, so you know what size you should make it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Ugh, I can't talk anymore. But anyhow, I wish you a great day and happy fighting.
Ja, Jungs, okay.